Call me Sam the way I am hitting you with some spam.
Okay,
hey, everybody.
there we go. Perfect. Love that. Love that. Love that.
No.
That's crazy. Hey guys, everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the Games Cage today. And only today we are doing our now yearly tradition of gathering the gang here and discussing the future of Sonic. Now, I recently did a video. I talked about all about 2024 year's Shadow, but I want to know your guys' thoughts. Like, you guys, I mean, I don't need to interview you guys. You guys have been here enough. It's fine. It's over. We get it now. But I wanted to just get your thoughts first, like for you two. How was 2024, like the year of Shadow, for y'all in terms of Sonic stuff?
Dude, probably that was one of the better years yet. You know, like I haven't been this excited about Sonic in like since my childhood.
Yep.
100% the most successful marketing campaign I think they've ever done.
I kind of agree with that, yeah.
Whoever was in charge of the marketing, like, promote that person, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Which is funny because, like, I feel like that first promo was, like, really weak. But, like, everything around it was better. Because, you know how they did that weird, like, sketch thing where the kids are on the bikes?
Cheesy.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever.
Right. Like, be fearless.
Yeah, be fearless when they're on the bikes. Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is, like, a little on the nose. But, like, everything after is fire.
Just put the fries in the bag.
Yeah.
Give me Shadow. That's all.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it was a crazy year. Yeah, when I did a video, like, I researched everything. Really, the only two main fumbles of last year, I think, were, like, the end of Sonic Prime and the Knuckles show. But besides that, everything with Shadow Gens was pretty solid.
But isn't that amazing, right? Like when you have so much going on in your franchise where you could have two fumbles and it could still be an insane year for us fans. Like it was still an amazing year. Incredible.
I remember last year, because the year before last year, 2022, that's when we got like Frontiers and Movie 2. That was the big year.
Yep.
And everyone thought last year, 2023, was like, you know, what is there? Like, you kind of like blew your load in that year. Like, what's 2023 going to be? And we got a lot. We actually got quite a lot.
Yep.
It was a pretty good year. I think everyone was very pleasantly surprised. And then I'd say like this year definitely delivered.
This year was crazy.
We had even more like major releases. We had another movie. We had Sonic X Shadow Generations. What did we get this year? Like, let's recap.
So what we got in 2024 was the main stuff is we got Shadow Dark Beginnings, right? We got the announcement and some test demos of Sonic Rumble. We got a lot of Shadow-centric videos. We got Shadow Gens. The only stuff we got was 2D, was like costumes for superstars, like the Shadow onesie and the IHOP stuff. We also had the cool Sonic Central where they announced like a bunch of the Lego stuff, a lot of the Shadow Gen story trailer. They announced Chow Tales, which is still like MIA. What was the other? Yeah, I know. And and then it was Knuckles show, and it was like movie marketing, and it was Sonic Prime. Those are really the main things. So like, yeah, in retrospect, like it's the Shadow stuff that really carries the year, because I feel like all the other stuff was a bit more weak.
Was Knuckles show this year?
Yes, it was. It was March. So it was like.
It feels like so long.
I know.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Last year, it's 2025 now.
Yeah.
And now speaking, by the way, of last year, I like we gotta acknowledge that like in our last predictions, we nailed it.
Hell
like,
yeah.
All of us said like we think there's gonna be something Shadow related.
Yeah.
Sonic movie coming out, and sure enough, it was
Shadow Gens. I mean, like
they
go for it.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like Shadow Gens felt like the what we were thinking the next mainline Sonic would be based on Frontiers, you know, polish wise.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did a really good job actually capitalizing on the movie this time.
Yes.
Sonic 1 or Sonic Movie 1, Sonic Movie 2, they're like the tie-in games, if there even was a tie-in game. Like I think Sonic Movie 1, I don't even know if it had like any kind of tie-in anything. It just came out by itself and people happened to like it, I guess. Maybe they weren't prepared.
I know, hold on. They put Sonic Forces free on PS Plus when the movie came out.
They did that.
Yeah, there's your celebration.
Actually, I recall when Sonic Movie 1 like came before the redesign stuff. I remember hearing like Sega was like separating themselves from the movie because like it was pandemonium, right?
Right.
And then when things got fixed, they kind of like came back. Like, so I don't think they were prepared for anything at all.
Yeah. I can see that. And then Sonic Movie 2, which it was really weird for Sonic Movie 2 because at that point they knew that they had something cool.
Yep.
Especially with all the trailers and everything, people were hyped for Sonic Movie 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they really didn't capitalize on it at all. They released Sonic Origins, which I guess like
I think it was Sonic,
that's kind of cool.
Was it introduced Sonic Colors?
It was Sonic Colors Ultimate. That was and Origins, but actually Origins came out after the movie, right?
It did, because Origins was 2023. No, Superstars was 2023. 2022 was.
2022 was Origins.
Origins. We had Origins Plus in 2023.
Okay.
And then we had Origins and
Frontiers.
Oh, actually, no.
Did Origins and Frontiers come out the same year?
2021.
This is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I
know. When was the last time we had so many Sonic games? We're like, what the fuck? Like,
well,
it used to be like one Sonic game every 3 years.
We are. So we are now. I mean, like heading into this next year, and just the last 2-3 years, we've started to see the. I mean, Sonic has always been a multimedia franchise, but we're starting to return to Sonic being an annualized franchise. Because again, remember, like when 2017 happened with Forces. Nothing till Frontiers, like main like 3D Sonic was no HD ports, no nothing except for like colors in 2021 or something. And like we are now seeing enough money into Sonic Team, enough money into Sega, seeing that Sonic is returning to the 2000s era of having stuff every year, and like they can sort of mix it without like overstepping, development time. Like, all right, there's a 2D game brewing.
That's the important thing. That's the important thing. The important distinction is we have multiple teams now.
Yep.
We have.
It's really feeling like the early 2000s because of that. Like we had Dimps and just all
Sonic
these other like in Sonic Team, and then now Sonic Team is apparently big enough to where they have a B team, which I believe is who made Shadow Generations, while their A team is making like Frontiers 2 or whatever they have cooking now. But then they also have Arzest doing stuff for like, Sonic Superstars. They have Sega Hardlight doing, Dream Team and other mobile stuff. So there's like at least 4 different like kind of teams all doing stuff at the same time, so that we can have like 2 or 3 things release a year, which is super cool.
And obviously now we have like movies and shows that are also cycling in and out.
Even outside of video games, we have like all that kind of stuff too.
Which is important, because I think like that's why being a multimedia franchise is so important, because like games take time, and so you need stuff to fill those gaps. And so like having a show in between game releases feels like a Sonic thing is out. Having then a remaster come out, or potentially a remake or something. I feel like always having something to cycle through is a good idea. And so obviously I feel like this is weird. So I have a list of the things that we have announced. The way I think we should do this is go over what we have announced, talk about what's the potential for 3D, 2D media, and just overall predictions and stuff. So here are the things we have announced right now. It's probably, we just had movie 3. It's still technically coming out in some regions, so that marketing beat is still going on. So the things we have announced are Sonic Racing Crossworlds, Sonic Rumble, Sonic X DC for the comics, Chow Tales. That's really it. It's one of the weird instances where like we don't really know too much, which I think is fine for Sonic. Like Sonic is not like, it's not a console where you need to know the entire lineup.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also, Shadow Generations only came out in October.
Yeah.
It's only been a few months, and that was like a major release. So like, I think it's only natural that we don't really, we're too soon after that major release to really know what's going on next.
Yeah.
It's kind of rare where like a major release comes out, and then like the next month they're like, also here's like the next major game. Like it's gonna take a little bit of time.
I was shocked they even announced Sonic Racing that soon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a holiday release or something. Like I wonder like how early the trailer. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember with TSR. Remember when TSR they had that CGI trailer?
Yeah.
And
it took a while.
We didn't hear anything for a while. I think it was like just all like music stuff. up until the game's release. But I don't remember how long the marketing was for that game.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe like close to a year. But yeah, no. This I wouldn't be surprised if this maybe takes a year. Or till the end of the year. But yeah, it's so interesting. And I don't know how you guys feel like as Sonic content creators. For me personally, like it's been nonstop. We've been technically working nonstop since like 2021.
Yep.
And I don't know about you guys, but like here, like laying it all out, like what do we have going on? And there's really not a lot. Like we still have Sonic stuff, which is good. But there's not a lot going on. We're not like bombarded. And I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, I'm just kind of like, I kind of like that. Like, give me some time. Like, let's recharge a little bit,
Well, for me, it's one of those things of like, I'm just curious now what's the route because one, I guess we should talk about Sonic Racing Crossworlds. So it's interesting because we used to get the racing games a little bit faster. It's now been, I think it's been 5 years, 4 or 5 years since TSR. And I think we can all agree TSR was kind of a weaker one out of all the sumo digital racing games. It was kind of just like they put it out, nothing really unique about it. I don't really want to be in a team.
It's kind of frustrating because it's funny. It's like one of the only Sonic games when I am a YouTuber, I didn't make a review for.
Funny because that was the first time I got a review for a Sonic game.
Oh really?
I was like, it was when I just started.
I remember like me and actually Radical Soda, we were going to collab on a review and we wrote the first page and I remember we gave up because like we were just like this, the game already died because I think it was
what year did
Crash Team Racing came out at the same time.
What year was it? Let me check.
Yeah, what year was that?
Team.
Also, by the way, I played Crash Team Racing, like the original, just like a week ago and that game is peak.
That game is awesome. It really is.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's really good.
2019, May
funny.
2019. So it'll be 6 years this year since the last race game, which is crazy.
Yeah. And yeah, what I was gonna say though regarding TSR is it's kind of frustrating because the game itself, the fundamentals of the game wasn't bad.
Yep.
It feels like the infrastructure around said game that they made was not made for it. Like it's called Team Sonic Racing, but we couldn't queue up as a team to then go online and compete against other teams.
Yeah, the online was
really
awful.
The fundamentals of it.
The online was like, it felt like PS3 era, like just go in a lobby and like
it was awful, but it was entertaining as hell.
I agree.
When that game first came out before the patch, me and my friends got flung to the moon.
That's crazy.
It was actually some of the most hilarious moments I've ever had. Was just how broken the online.
I remember just being
I didn't
sad.
really get to play that game until it was already like offline.
Really?
I was like pretty late to that game.
No, it felt offline on launch, dude. Like I'll never forget the day it came out. I went to online and it was taking time to find a lobby. I was like, all right, man. Well, we're day one, dude.
Day one.
Day one. Yeah, it does. But like, and like I think the tracks in that game are awesome. Like I think.
Yeah.
So they obviously ended up removing the element of Sega and just focusing on Sonic, and it looks like they're doing the same thing here, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with leaning. There's enough zones and areas in Sonic that you can lean on that. But what was so disappointing again about TSR was just like that. They limited it even like you're already cutting things in half from Sega All-Stars by just having it Sonic, but it felt like you cut Sonic in half where like you had like 12 playable characters, barely any kart options, like representation across the whole series wasn't there. It was mainly like more modern stuff. Yeah.
And it seems to even really make any sense.
They didn't.
I actually just remembered now, like it was like, was it like Silver was on like Amy's team?
Yeah, there was something like, silly with that.
It was something weird with that. Like they could grab a lot more characters if they want to go all Sonic.
I agree. Put at least in a cart.
Say too, by the way, and I know we're talking about TSR because it's the most recent one.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do believe this one is being made by Sumo Digital.
Yes, it is.
That initial tweet was a mistake, saying that it was like Sega Hardlight. But yeah, no, I believe it's Sumo Digital, which I think they are super talented people. They really got to make a racing game. I will just say this now. My favorite kart racer, not Sonic racing game of all time.
Kart racer.
That goes to Sonic Riders. But my favorite kart racer of all time is actually Transform.
Yeah, okay.
Love
Transform is awesome. Really good as a game. I mean, I recently jumped in a little bit for like a stream once, and I forgot how sick it is. Like, I love how dynamic the courses are. Like, each lap things change. Like, that's what I wanted from Mario Kart for so long, where like tracks change as you go through them. And
it's really interesting. I like all the
too. I played that. I played Transformed for the first time in a while, kind of recently, like a few months ago. And I was playing with a friend, and we were going through like all the challenges, and you can do them 2-player, which is really fun, and you can like do all the boss fights and stuff. Yeah, TSR is or not TSR, Transformed is like really, really strong.
Yeah, really, and it's one of the only kart racers where like I went through the entire game, and then when you beat the game, I think you unlock like super hard mode or whatever for every track.
Yes.
And I went through that too.
Oh, really?
Like, I binged it. Like, it was a lot of fun. Catch me in 2018 in that game, I was a problem. I'm not gonna lie.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's awesome. And that's the thing is, like, I think this time around they took a longer break, and I hope it was to make something stronger, right? Because so we have the teaser. Obviously, it starts with Shadow. You have the cart. We have the rider's board in the background. And then he just rides into a ring. And that's all we really know. And the other only notable piece of info is if you Google the game, right? And you look at like the Google transcript on the side, it says like race across like land, sea, air, time, and space. Which that is where like the interesting discussion comes from, of like, okay, so it's not just gonna be, you know, the sky and land mechanics from the other one. There's space and time potentially, and what does that mean, right? Like, where are we going, and what do you guys think? Like, what do you guys think is gonna be the big hook or mechanic?
That could be, it could go two ways. Either like the space and time is another like transportation mode, or it's just describing the setting where like it's like interdimensional or something like that. So it can go either way, I guess. But I'm hoping that like there's riders mechanics in it too. Like,
oh, dude,
you can like hop off your car and go on like a hoverboard or something, and I don't know, go through like some kind of like crazy interdimensional half pipe. You know,
that'd
like
be
that would be
awesome.
awesome. That'd be so cool.
So that's the only thing, because like I really, because honestly, like the word Crossworlds and going through different dimensions, right? To me, that sounds like Sonic Prime.
It reminds me of like Ratchet and Clank.
The font,
the font
on the logo looks like Sonic Prime, but this is not tied to Sonic Prime.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it would be cool if it's like you're jumping through different like eras of Sonic.
That'd
you know
be
what I mean? Like you jump through Riders, maybe Sega All Stars, Transformed, and then maybe some, I guess, TSR. But like, or like more specifically, I guess there'd be different eras of Sonic. Like, wonder if there's like a classic, like maybe like Generations, but for racing. But I think the big thing, I guess, that we all care about is like that board that's on the background. Like, what does that mean? Like, is that like some people genuinely said maybe we're looking too deep into it. It could just be an Easter egg. That's why they have a tarp over it. But we really want that to be the case. I think because we really are dying for like some sort of innovation in this formula. And I think what makes the Riders games unique is there's not a whole lot of racers that do that. Yeah. And it's such a Sonic thing to do, right? Because it's so cool. Like, he's not in a car, he's on a hoverboard, so it's different.
It is.
So I would love to see if they're able to incorporate some sort of love in there in this game. Yeah. And I'll just say this too. Even if they weren't originally planning it, and if this game does come out on holiday, if it is like a holiday release, I also think there's probably enough time to like maybe like see the feedback. They're like, ooh, let's maybe add like a hoverboard mechanic.
It's interesting because like Riders, I feel like I'm not explaining it, like you could center an entire game around Riders, right? And so like mechanics and physics and everything wise. And so like I'd be interested to see like how do you go from like racing in a car to the physics of Riders. I'm sure it'll be like somewhat translated, you know, because you don't want to confuse players mid-race like with a control scheme switch.
I don't think it would be as deep as Riders.
Exactly.
I feel like it would basically be the equivalent to like transformed.
Exactly.
You enter a section where your thing just transforms into like an airplane or like being able to swim, and it's just kind of like basic like skateboarding. Hover control.
I don't see it as like
do tricks. Maybe that's
that'd
like
be
the
awesome.
difference is that like you can go off a half pipe and do tricks or something.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of that, because like we mentioned with that description on that website, because they do mention, you're traveling through like sea and air. Like they specifically are saying this is going to be like transformed. You could really tell. And the only addition that is different is they're saying and through space. Yeah, and time. Like, I'm wondering, like, does that mean like the car's turned into a rocket? Like, what are we talking here?
What's your theory, Ryan? What you got?
My theory is like, okay, so you know the most recent Ratchet and Clank game where you have like just the instant loading.
Yeah.
You go through a portal and it like goes into like another level. I think what they could do is obviously they have a bunch of different tracks and like they can have transitions to other tracks
that are
like instantaneous. It could be in the middle of the race, like you do one lap in one level, and then you like get transported through like
that'd be crazy,
some kind of like wormhole into like straight into the next like
that'd be awesome.
And it's like a different map. I think they could maybe do that.
Too bad the game is on Switch, so that's not happening.
I was thinking it could be on Switch.
Well, next theory, y'all.
No, but I see what you. That would be a fire mechanic. Like I've always said, even like I wish Mario Kart had that, where like instead of doing the thing where you finish a track, you wait for the loading to get like really when you finish a Mario Kart track and you get to the next one, it's like a minute or two of your life like wasted, you know, and you're just like on your phone loading screens. Having like an instantaneous like next race into the next race to the next race would be sick. Something like that. Or even if lap 2 transitioned to another race, like you're saying, would be sick. But yeah, no, the way my theory was more that like you would like go through one of those rings and then that would be like the riders section, you know? And I wonder how much they would lean into, like maybe when you go to space, it would like be a rider section. Then when you go through time, it could be like maybe just like, you know, a more destroyed version or futuristic version of the level you're in. I mean, there is really crazy potential this one. I hope this game hasn't taken 6 years to happen because they just started like 2 years ago. I hope it's because they've tried to like craft something.
They've been working on it.
Because correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, someone look it up. I don't know what Sumo Digital has done since. You know, I feel like their last game was, so they worked on Sackboy: A Big Adventure in 2020. That was like a PS5 game, which people really love. Then they did some like smaller stuff. But yeah, they haven't done anything major really.
What Outlaws Legend 2020? Interesting.
Yeah, nothing major since that Sackboy game.
Funny, by the way. I didn't realize. I didn't think about this until just now when we made that joke though about the Switch. But this might actually be the first Sonic game released on Switch too.
Yep, most likely. Yeah. Well, it'll probably be enhanced on Switch too, right? Because they're probably not gonna abandon it.
It's probably gonna be in that weird period where they put it on both. Yeah.
Because even like PS5, like it took like 2-3 years for like games to only be on PS5, and even then there are still games that are coming out on PS4. And I think with how huge the Switch is, it's going to be very difficult for them to want to abandon OG Switch support. Yeah,
that entire user base.
Yeah,
pretty big.
But I mean, yeah, it's hard. Again, it's hard to talk about because we really just have like a teaser trailer. But I'm hoping we see it early year. I feel like that's a game you could show off in a direct or like a state of play like they did for Sonic Shadow Gens. You know, I don't think we're gonna have to wait too long to see it. But I'm hoping we have T Lopes on the soundtrack. I hope we get some new Crush work because TSR's soundtrack, like if anything, is like phenomenal. Dude, incredible.
That was the TSR is an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, I agree. The remixes in there are fucking crazy, dude. And it'd be awesome to even see like how would they do like a Frontiers track? Would it be like it goes through Chronos and Ares? It'd be sick, dude. Or like even the white space from Shadow Gens, or like that weird dimension that Black Doom messes with as a track would be sick.
Or maybe Null Space in Sonic Forces and make it an actual level.
There you go, man. There you go.
I'd actually be sick.
Speaking of Sonic Forces, isn't it crazy that we still have a relic of Forces alive with the mobile game? Sonic Forces Speed Battle.
That is,
it's wild.
That is still an ongoing thing.
Wild that they never rebranded it. Yeah. Because what's crazy about the game is
what
that
are they
like
doing these days? Are they just adding skins?
Dude, they add like
they're like new levels.
They add new levels and skins all the time, bro. And I'm talking like the craziest Sonic skins you wish you had in the game. Is like you get like Rockstar AB, you get Surge in there, you get like IDW characters, you get everything. You got Mephiles in there.
I'm only because I'm like looking at the screenshots of the CG trailer for Crossworlds, and I think it's only just now really hitting me how actually hilarious this announcement is, right? Yeah. We just got an announcement for a brand new Sonic the Hedgehog racing game, and the first person to announce it is Shadow the Hedgehog.
I know. Hey man, they have to cap off the year of Shadow.
They're making off the year of Shadow, but it's just so funny. It's like you see Shadow in the car. He goes through it and it says Sonic Racing.
It's awesome. Awesome stuff, man.
He's surpassed Sonic.
He's surpassed Sonic in his own game.
He still wanted his year.
He's a mascot now.
So we have that as a game. Sonic X DC stuff is cool. I mean, it'll be a comic run. Yeah, maybe they'll do something. The only interesting thing we have announced is Chow Tales, I guess, which they said was in the Sonic Central. To me, to be honest with you, I didn't see that as like, I saw it more as maybe that might be like a kid's thing where like it's more like storybook like. I didn't see it as, maybe I'm wrong, but I didn't see it being
like
a
Sonic
level
and Friends type like marketing thing. I could see that too.
I don't know, it didn't strike me as like this is gonna be our cool next animated miniseries. Like they've been doing a bunch.
I think though that this is an additional piece of evidence to the sign that they're trying to like
I agree.
Soft launch the Chow again between, you know, like the movie having the Chow Garden Generations.
A Chow mobile game. Just fucking do it.
Do you think
the new Generations game, and we were talking about this in our discussion about Shadow Generations, that like they have all these models.
Yep.
I think they're definitely like priming us to like reacquainting the fans with Chow, and
there's no way they made 52 separate unique Chow models for a little mini free thing in Generations.
Don't forget even Sonic Rumble. Sonic Rumble has like a shit ton of Chow, you know, that follow you in the level that you can choose from. It's like it's so obvious how much they're priming up the Chow, right? But here's my thing.
I think it's funny because they didn't even need to prime it up. It's
I know.
The hype's always been there.
I know. But it's like, I guess like prime it up in a sense of like having the models ready, because probably you need a lot more models.
I will say though, and this is we probably have a blind side to this because we're like super fans, but like I'd say a lot of casual fans that are just getting into the series, like young kids and like, I don't know, just people who aren't like really familiar. There's like a lot of new faces because of this movie and maybe because of the game. I think it's probably smart that they kind of like prime the fan base to make sure that they're like familiar with these little creatures if they're gonna do something.
Yeah, a lot of kids are gonna be like, oh, those are the things from the movie.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, but here's my thing, right? It's like with the Chow, I know we all want a mobile game and everything, but it really is so synonymous with Sonic Adventure, like 2 especially, right? Yeah. And I don't know, like that's like my first like question is like, what do you still think they're doing with Adventure 1 and 2, especially after the massive success of Year of Shadow and like Sonic Movie 3, and Sonic Movie 3 basically being Adventure 2? And if you guys saw like on Steam, Sonic Adventure 2 hit an all-time peak of player numbers, you know, like people want to play the game, and that shit is not available on PlayStation, it's not available on Switch, like I think they
barely available on PC. It crashes like half the time you try to launch.
My PC copy of this game sucks. Half the time it crashes. It's an awful experience, man. And like because my monitor is like 200.
It plays double.
Yeah, I know. And then like when I use mods, it breaks. I'm like, okay, man. Like.
Yeah, I recommend if anyone. I'll just say this too, by the way. I recommend if anyone wants to run Adventure 2. Download the SADX mod manager and download the community codes. It'll fix all those problems for you. But man, you're like it's actually
a lot of work, though.
it's like it's kind of bad. And I'll even say this for the original generations on PC. There's a lot of Sonic games on PC on Steam that literally will just not run.
Yeah,
like you got to do some weird stuff.
Weird launchers. It's very archaic and like
They gotta update it.
Technology to fix that now. Like, we should.
Yeah. Not that like people want to play it, but like even Sonic 4, like you need to download like a Java script downloader to play. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Now I know what you were alluding to though when you were bringing up like, you know, what do you think they're doing with like adventure? Like I think they definitely need to report this stuff, and obviously I would love a remake. Do I think they're actually making a remake right now or actually going to do it? No. Okay. I don't think they are. I think they're too scared. I just think they're too scared. At least for Adventure and Adventure 2.
Yeah.
There's another theory I have.
Yeah,
we
of
talk
course.
about it after near the end.
Of course.
But
like, here's my thing though. Remember, recently on Steam, they delisted a shit ton of Dreamcast games. I don't know if you guys caught up with this. Like, they on Steam. And so the other theory is, you know, it's that they're gonna do some kind of actual Dreamcast collection, or at least, and they've been talking about in interviews about potentially doing a streaming service of their games or stuff. So I'm with you, as I don't think we're getting remakes yet, but I think this year, like that's one of my big predictions. I think this year, Dreamcast will be celebrated in some way, whether it is a stupid streaming service or another Nintendo Switch Online edition or just a collection. I think it's really time, because those games...
Is it some kind of milestone anniversary for the Dreamcast this year? Or was that last year?
Sam, do you want to check? It came out in 99.
I feel like
in America it did. Well, it came out in 98 actually.
It came out in 98.
I think it was the 25th anniversary last year, right? Is that what it was?
Might be. I think. I mean, even if it is, like, I mean, regardless if it's late 90s, there would be no anniversary, unless it was like 95. But I think even without that, I just think like it's time for Dreamcast stuff to be like HD remastered around, especially like because they're doing the Jet Set reboot, they're doing the Crazy Taxi reboot, they're doing like, you know, they're having success with Sonic Movie 3, they're doing Streets of Rage, all this stuff. Like, I feel like there needs to finally be some way to play these old ones so they're queued up for the new ones, right?
What are the chances of a Sega Dreamcast Mini?
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of a fad that died off, right?
It is dead, yeah. I don't think they would do it today.
Because a lot of people wanted that. A lot of people were asking.
Yeah, so it's funny. I think this happened like a week ago. There was something where there was like a I think somebody making like essentially like a Dreamcast Mini. It was like a bootleg. I don't know if it was bootleg or like a third party thing. It was like Sega Sega killed it though.
Yeah.
They I think they stopped them. So it's like, I don't know if that was like I don't know. It doesn't sound like they want to do mini consoles.
I don't think anyone does. I mean, to be honest, now it's like, I feel like the mini console was a novelty before we were getting like digital services of like, yo, here's all the NES games on Switch, here's all the SNES games, here's PS1 classics available on PS5.
PlayStation is doing that now.
Yeah, and so I just feel
it's a
like
lot easier to just. I think it's just a lot easier to do that stuff digitally.
Yeah,
I think making hardware and like physical things, unfortunately, it's like a dying.
Yeah,
it was it was like a fad.
It was
like 4 to 5 years ago, and it was cool, but like, and they did capitalize on it with the Genesis Mini. Like, I think Genesis Mini is really freaking cool and really good. But yeah, like I just think right now it's like they would probably need to weigh on that for some other time.
But I just feel like just do an HD collection of Dreamcast. Like, you could even, I feel like Dreamcast library people adore so much. You could even do like Dreamcast Volume 1, right? And that'll be like something like that would be so good. But I don't know. There's like a rumor of them or like wanting of them to do a subscription service. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want that. Like,
I don't think I would do it.
I think sometimes
there's
the
too
CEO
many
says stuff sometimes.
Services.
Yeah.
I can't
do it.
justify it. Like, I'm gonna lose track. I just can't.
I know, it's a nightmare.
I recall the CEO also saying like years ago, like, we're gonna look into like NFT stuff, and then they never did it. Thank God.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I think they say a lot of stuff sometimes, like CEO brain.
Sega, didn't they mention that they're making a super game?
Oh yeah, the Super Game Initiative. That is still the most confusing thing ever. Like, I don't know if that's like those.
It's been like few different times where they brought it up. Like, I think one was like kind of recently, it was like last year. And then they did it like in 2022 or something, where they're like, yeah, we're making like this super game. And everyone is like, what are you talking about? And then like they don't elaborate.
Well, they did the thing where they announced those 4 games, like Jet Set, Crazy Taxi, like the remakes. And I was like, are those the super games? It is extremely confusing. I don't know what
very vague.
The super games is making games for their IPs.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I one day we'll discover the secret of the super game. But yeah, so that's stuff regarding potential ports. Well, let's talk about, I mean, since we're already talking about like adventure and potential ports, let's talk about 3D Sonic, right? So this year will be 3 years since Frontiers launched. Technically it wrapped development around 2023 when they finished Final Horizons. So I think we all agree they still need a bit. Well, they might.
Here's the question though: when they were doing Final Horizon stuff, was that their A or B team that was doing it?
So I think that was their B team. Like my thing is, I think this year they will tease and announce the next mainline Sonic, because I think next year is perfect. That will have been 4 years since like Frontiers release. Like for people that didn't go in DLC, they'll be like, "Where's my next big 3D Sonic?" I think next year, 4 years to develop a sequel that's probably like using, the same engine, but obviously updating a lot makes a lot more sense, right? What do you guys think? Do you think they're going to tease the next 3D Sonic game for next year? Do you think it's too... Oh, shit!
All I'm saying is...
Tell us.
There's a lot of indications... is it okay if we do spoilers from the movie, by the way?
I think so. I think if you're watching a movie about a video about the future of Sonic...
I'm just going to give a warning right now. I'm going to discuss some spoilers about the movie. All I'm saying is those like rumors last year about like a potential Heroes remake and that there was actual discussion inside Sega, like we're thinking about a Heroes remake.
Yep.
And in my head, I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense. But now after Shadow Generations, let's think about this, right?
Yeah.
Let's think rationally. Let's think like Sega brain, right?
Okay.
We know Adventure 2 is kind of, it's scary to remake that. They know that's a huge liability if they mess that up, right? They know.
Yep.
Now think about the money side. They already got the assets for Seaside Hill. They already got the assets for Metropolis. They already got the assets for Rail Canyon now and Bullet Station. They already have the assets done for Haunted Mansion.
They have Metal Overlord.
Final Fortress. Metal Overlord. You have the mods for all the characters. All I'm saying is, Heroes is probably the easiest game for them to remake right now. And I sure wonder if there's a potential movie 4 coming out with certain characters that could also be tied to Sonic Heroes. My head saying like, I don't know. Do I think if there is a Heroes remake, like with those rumors spreading about like it running on like Unreal Engine, stuff like that, like do I think it's actually being made by Sega or like actual Sonic team? Probably not. They're probably overseeing it, but it's probably gonna be like a third party thing.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yep.
My money would be on this.
Okay.
That's what I think. I definitely agree with you in terms of a kind of like filler type game where like their A team is making like the next mainline game and then we get some kind of like side remake project. I think Heroes is like, that's like the logical.
Yeah.
I think they want to keep doing remakes. Like they've asked and we've answered. Like we keep showing up for these remakes.
We have yet to have a actual remake of a 3D Sonic. We have never gotten the closest you could say is like Adventure DX and like Adventure 2 Battle, but those are like
those are like ports. Maybe.
Yeah, badly enhanced ports. It's not the same thing as like a full remake. It's shocking they've taken this long because I would have thought like that era where Crash was getting remade, Spyro was getting remade, and we were just seeing a bunch of platformers get remakes that like Sonic was gonna like pull up. And so it feels like obviously like there's no too late time to do it because it's such a popular game, but I'm with you. I feel like one, it would be a huge deal. Two, I think, and I said this when the initial rumors happened, I think Heroes is the perfect test bed for a remake because I think Adventure 1 and 2 are a little bit more sacred right, for people. And so I feel like them nailing Heroes would make people want and be excited for Adventure 1 and 2 remakes, you know? I feel like...
And, you know,
it would let
I'm a
them test
diehard...
out 3D physics, I think, because, I mean, technically the Heroes games are kind of adventure physicsy.
Yeah.
They're you know, different values for, like, you know, the top speed and everything, but, like, if they can use that to kind of experiment...
They were built off that engine, but it's funny because, like, I'm a diehard Heroes fan. Okay, I grew up with the game. It's funny because even I will admit, you can't make the controls worse than what it was. I'll be the first to say Heroes did not control good. And they can't mess it up. They can't make it worse than what it was.
Exactly.
It really is a good testing bed. But I'll also say this too. Heroes, it's funny because Heroes is actually one of the best selling songs.
It is.
In fact, it wasn't until Frontiers that they beat that record. So considering, you know, the movie 4 stuff, considering all the assets already done for them, considering the rumors we heard last year about it, and they just happened to be remaking a Heroes level, I don't think that was a coincidence. I genuinely think there probably is a consideration for it.
Mm-hmm. I think also, what was I gonna add? Yeah, there's rumors that the Chaotix are gonna be part of Knuckles next season. I don't know. Yeah, it feels like they're priming all the characters from that game to be somewhere relevant. But like, I'm just so curious to see how they'd handle it, because I don't see a world where they would make you play the campaign 4 times like it used to be to unlock the final ending. I feel like they'd need to find some kind of way to streamline it or something. I don't know. Like I don't see them doing it. I mean, not doing a Heroes remake, but doing it how it used to be. I feel like it would be a major overhaul, you know? Because I also wouldn't even as someone like I have huge problems with Heroes, but I've always said like a Heroes remake or polish would be like a top 3 Sonic game. Like my issue, exactly.
They can fix the issues.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of it just comes down to like how the game is designed.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you're making it from the ground up, you can just fix all that in your head and then make the game with those fixes in mind. Like, it would be.
And it's such an easy game though, too, in the sense that, you know, in like we look at it, it's like, oh my god, 12 playable characters, but in reality, it's 3. They all play the same.
Yeah.
So.
Wouldn't it be 4?
Yeah.
Right? Is it 4 playable games? Well, 4 campaigns.
Well, no, it's 3. Well, it's 4 campaigns, but 3 characters.
Got it. Yeah.
And all of them play the same. I genuinely just think you can't do wrong. You really can't do wrong with it unless you somehow really mess it up. But I don't think it would be a huge mess up there. If they were to attempt that. And yeah, like I said, like it's not like I wouldn't be against like adventures, like you said. Those are more sacred.
Yeah.
And I think they got to kind of prove themselves a bit more to just know like they could take that jump, remake those 2 games, make them very well, make them play good, and then we can talk about Adventure 3 after that.
Yeah.
Until then,
right.
like,
do you think if they were to remake the adventure games?
Yeah.
Do you think they would hire a third party to do it, or do you think Sonic Team, like the core?
That Sonic Team. I think Sonic Team has to do it because I think they would want to do story. Because I feel like it's so weird and interesting because like with something like, again, a Crash or a Spyro or whatever, it's just about the physics and the platforming. With Sonic, it has the story and unique cutscenes and stuff, and I feel like they would want to like make cutscenes the way they really want to and do, you know, voices the way they'd need to. Like I think they would have to do it internally just based on like the amount of changes they probably have to do to those games, you know? I think, well, I was gonna say like, what do we think? Yeah, go for it. Oh, he lost. Damn it. Well, I was gonna say like, okay, let's say it's not. Let's say it is Heroes or not. Like, I do still think by the time we get to Game Awards next year, we will at least have a teaser of Frontiers 2 or whatever that ends up being. I just have a feeling.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'm sure it's probably gonna be like a basic, like a CG thing or something.
I think if we want the A team to make Adventure, then like, I don't know. I think we should wait because like,
I agree.
I do also want to see what they're doing with Frontiers. I think also if they do another Frontiers, they can gather more intel on like what the fans want, what works, what doesn't work. and then they can go into the adventure games if they're going to be the ones to make it,
Yeah.
like, with all that knowledge and like knowing exactly what to do, what not to do. And I think Frontiers 2 will play around with more like multiple playable characters and like physics and stuff, because that is what a lot of hardcore fans were really receptive to.
Well, it's funny,
and you can even see it with the DLC that they started to do that.
Mario Kishimoto literally said, like, I'm not waiting until the next game to test this stuff. I'm gonna use this as an opportunity to test it now. It's crazy that he literally said this stuff.
Yeah, he was really so open on Twitter.
He was really open.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But like, I do love that. But like, genuinely, it's like, we know that's exactly what like whatever we saw in Update 3, that really was a testing bed for what they want.
I'm really glad they did that too.
Me too.
Because I think it was a bit rough, but because they made it as DLC towards the end of the game, like after the game came out, it gave them kind of like a free pass to be like, okay, we flubbed up a few things, we'll like update it and patch it.
They even patched like Knuckles Glide. Like they
the
were
Knuckles Glide works now.
that feedback, like
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they definitely they have such a head start into this second Frontiers or whatever they're gonna call it. I'm really happy that they kind of like took the risks in a DLC rather than in a whole game.
I agree, and I think when it comes to I'm so much more excited because I'm like, damn, you take the over the top moments and cinematics of like Frontiers mixed with the polish of Shadow Gens and even like the mid-level transitions there, like you got something crazy that this team's. I can't wait to see Sonic doing cool shit, the way Shadow did cool shit. Like that to me excites me so much.
I gotta talk about the overall tone of the franchise right now. Like we're back to being cool. Like you don't have to be like it's not like we don't have to, like, I know it is a kid franchise, kid friendly, but it's okay to be like cool and taking yourself semi-seriously. Shonen. Yeah. 100%. And I think right now, like, it's just so interesting. I just really like seeing where they're heading right now with it. With Shadow Generations, with the Sonic Movie 3, you can tell they definitely have those cool moments coming back. And
I have like a theory as to why it didn't quite work back then and now it does. And it's just because like, if you go through, some of the older games with the more like melancholic stories, like it's the presentation, like the kind of like weird voice acting and like the weird like motion capture, like it doesn't like properly portray like the sincerity and like I don't know, the coolness and a lot of stuff. It's like kind of goofy because of like how kind of
they move.
But like we have like so much more technology and like expertise in the video game medium that we can like properly convey the coolness that we're trying to convey here. And I think for a lot of people, for me as a kid, when I played through these games, I was able to look through that stuff and like kind of suspend my disbelief and be like, it's just like a video game. But now like video games are kind of on the level of like movies and like high budget TV shows. So like for the people that weren't able to kind of like have that childlike suspension of disbelief, to kind of like be like, this is cool. Even though the characters are like
the Adventure 2 cutscenes. Anyone who didn't grow up with it, they laugh at like how silly those cutscenes.
It's ridiculous. But as a kid, I didn't care because like I was just kind of taking it for what it was. Yeah. But like now, you don't have to like do that because it's all there already in terms of presentation. Yeah. I think a lot of people like they're like, oh, I get it. Like I see the vision now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think also just even like with the movie, right? It's like there's now like an extra level of people wanting cool shit from this series, and obviously with Frontiers and like big moments in Shadow Gens, like it's like we're in a good, cool space with this series. And speaking of something that we would like to be cooler, we're talking about 3D Sonic here, potentially what's coming this year next. Well, let's talk about 2D Sonic, right? So our 2D Sonic timeline's been a bit weird. So we had Mania in 2017, that was like major success, right? We had nothing for a long time, and then we got, I believe it was Origins, right? Which was just like, here's some remasters, no ports, still nothing. And then our only notable release was in 2023, Sonic 2023 Sonic Superstars, which I think we've all kind of agreed, like, fun but flawed, like the physics work, but it's just kind of like it feels very existent. The bosses are weak.
I know. I think the best way to describe Superstars is it just didn't have the sauce.
Yes. Yep.
There was no sauce. Yeah. There was no. It felt like a corporate company being like, looked at Mania and said, we could do that too.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, we really like how Crossworlds looking, so let's merge that together.
Yeah.
So it's like, so yeah, it really good bones because it was made from a separate team.
Yeah, the physics are the same. Like people have those side by sides.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it really comes down to the design and what you do with it. And I guess that's the unfortunate part about the game is you can see where they would fumble with it. Yeah.
I mean, a good example of it is this week, the demo for Sonic Galactic came out, right? And I played it and I was like, dude, like, no, my problem isn't classic Sonic. It's that like, I just want classic Sonic with sauce. Cause I played this and I'm like, immediately back and I'm like, I want 2D Sonic. Like, give it. Like, immediately.
Because like I played it last night. I just played it last night on stream and it is such a fun fan game. And I think the part that I really like about classic Sonic and what makes it fun is the level design and what you could do with these new character abilities tied to momentum. I think what made Mania super cool was the addition of the drop dash. In fact, it's so cool, Sega won't stop putting it in every single game it's ever been in. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Crossworlds has the drop dash if you like in the car.
To be fair, the drop dash is pretty cool. If they can find out how to implement it in 3D properly, like I'm all for it. But
yeah, genuinely. But like no, I think when it comes to classic Sonic, I really like the formula, and I think there's always going to be a market for it. I know recently we had Sega themselves said recently that Superstars was a disappointment to them. They were disappointed by it.
Yeah,
and it's like I know for a lot of us our response was like, yeah, no dir, but I think
you also released it the same week as Mario Wonder and Spider-Man.
Yeah, Mario Wonder is fucking great. That was great. That was insane. Because that game could have definitely. That's the thing that is frustrating. Because in 2023, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even think we needed Superstars at that point. We were already being fed so many different ways. We also had Dream Team, I think, came out.
Oh,
like
you're
at
right.
the end of that year.
Right.
And then we had Murder Sonic. You had the 3 updates. I think it could have bled into 2024, early 2024.
Yeah.
But the game could have definitely used a little bit more time in the oven. Point is, I will say this too, because I know there's a lot of hate towards like RZS because Bound and all that stuff. But like, I really love Noto Oshima, and I think he is truly the father of Sonic. Him and Yasuhara. And I would love, first of all, I'd love to see Yasuhara come back. Yasuhara is a developer in the classic Sonic games that really designed the levels and is the person that really made that the games flow better, especially with Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. I would love to see Yasuhara come back. But I think the true answer is, look, Azuka even said in the interviews leading up to Superstars that they had every intention to work with the Mania team, but plans fell through, so they had to go. He essentially admitted like Arzus was like their second.
Well, even even it's their third, because there was that other interview where he said they wanted to do hand draw, but that it would take too long.
Yeah. So like I genuinely think, which by the way that would have been so fucking.
Oh
cool
my god, that would have been.
But yeah, I genuinely think. The real answer here is we need to have the Mania team come back. Why not use the Mania team? I mean, they did Penny's big breakaway, and I think that's probably why they were not on board, because the contract fell through. They're like, all right, we're gonna go to something else. I think Sega, let's pay these people properly. Let's get them back on.
I would love that.
And I think that's the true answer. Is they have the sauce. And I think they're going to be good with innovating with this formula. They created it themselves.
I'm curious here because, Penny was not what they wanted. I don't think it reviewed really well. They kind of just dropped. Yeah, did not review really well. Did you play it? I'm not sure if
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you like it? Because I was iffy on it.
I thought it was fun. I will admit, I played it one time.
Yeah.
I finished it.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't really play it again.
Yeah.
But I did have a fun time with it.
Yeah.
But I think it does have the growing pains of like a company that is like kind of getting started.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, but I also like I think it's just me. Like I'm kind of psyched just because like this is like they jumped from like a 2D game to like 3D.
You also jumped from like a huge success. You know, like people were banking on your name, right? Be like, oh, those are the guys who made Mania.
Yeah. Right. So
I think my problem with Penny is that like the character controller was phenomenal. Like it plays really good. I think the movement is super fun and creative. I just feel like the game itself, like aesthetically, has like no sauce.
I'm like the
just like there's like no spectacle in the aesthetic. I think the character design is kind of like weird.
Yeah, it's like weird but not cool. I get that.
Yeah, it's like kind of Kirby-ish, I guess. But
I didn't like controlling it. Really, I just felt like it punished you for not doing crazy shit.
I'm actually looking at the reviews. Like the game got about like a 7 out of 10 across the board, so it didn't really review negatively.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like how you guys are describing it. Like it wasn't like it wasn't like incredible.
Yeah, sadly they had to do layoffs too. I think it was a few months ago. So I do. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Like I do hope that like they say, hey, you know what? Let's do one more time with Sega for a Mania 2. But at the same time, like I would like RSS to like, I would like them to not just do a 1 and 10. I'd like them to actually work with them. Yeah, like be like, you know what, like, okay, you guys have something right here, because I really think with Superstars, if they did like a Superstars 2 or something, like, I just want more sauce. Like I'm not gonna lie, I would remove the multiplayer.
Yeah, you don't need multiplayer.
I think the problem with multiplayer in 2D Sonic, I just don't think works. I mean, you're taking, like, it's already a nightmare in 2D Mario, right? Where your friends bubble and, like, have problems. Like, you take 3D Sonic where literally you go so fast that your friend just disappears and has to press B to spawn back.
It's rough.
Like, that's just not really good.
I am still baffled that this is the number one thing I think they need to do with Classic Sonic. The number one problem I think most people have, especially people that aren't Sonic fans, when they complain about Sonic going too fast on the screen. In Sonic CD in 1993, they had the system where when Sonic goes really fast, the camera shifts to the left.
Yeah.
To have you see further ahead. And for the God's sake, just zoom the camera out with the faster Sonic goes, and I promise you, it would be probably one of the best classic Sonic experiences.
Yeah.
With sprite art, I get it, because like, you know, there's individual pixels and it has to match like the resolution, and you can't just like zoom out, you know, on like pixels like on a Genesis style game. But like for 3D, it's 3D. You couldn't just zoom the camera out.
Yeah.
I don't get. So actually, you know, in Sonic Superstars, when you're playing single player, the camera is like a set distance from the player. It's like kind of zoomed in. But when you play multiplayer, it actually zooms out. And it's nice. Like I want that amount of zoom.
I want that camera for single player.
For single player. I also think you should just be able to control the camera slightly. Like if with the
give
right
me an
analog,
option.
you press up or down to zoom in and out.
I agree.
Maybe press left and right. You can peek, kind of like scroll the
that'd
camera
be cool.
left and right so you can see ahead of you. That would be really cool. I think.
Noto Oshima had this figured out in 1993. That's like he had it figured out 30 years ago.
I think genuinely like.
I have a whole video about it too. That was my conclusion. Like the issue with Classic Sonic, one of the biggest issues is just the screen space, and it's very, very apparent if you go back to like the GBA, like
the port,
like, the advanced games, and like God forbid you go and play Sonic 8-bit, Sonic Genesis.
Oh God.
Not 8-bit, Sonic Genesis on the GBA. Like not only is that game like super glitchy and slow, but the amount of like zoom it has, because like it has such a small resolution, you could barely see 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah, I agree. They can just zoom it out. I feel like it would give more of a sense of exploration, of wanting to go up here that way or this way. I felt like that was my big thing with Superstars, like because it was so zoomed in, levels felt linear, right, where there wasn't really place to explore.
Right, when it's zoomed out, you can get glimpses of the upper path, and you can be like, ooh, like how do I get up there? And you try spin dashing up or something. I think that's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah, in terms of like sauce, I definitely agree with you. I think like if they're gonna do another classic Sonic game, I definitely want it to have a lot of style. Like look towards, like Mania had a lot of style, which because Mania is based heavily off of like the style and aesthetic of Sonic CD. I think.
Yes.
And Sonic CD is like very aesthetic, super cool looking. So definitely, if they were to go in that direction, that'd be cool. But I also think another way to get sauce out of a 2D type game is to just make it like a modern Sonic 2D game. I think I said this last year, but like I really, really want like a Sonic Advance style game, but like modern graphics, or like hand drawn. It could be 2D. It could be stylized 3D. You can make like a cool cell shaded Sonic. Kind of make him a little bit different, like kind of like Sonic Battle-y or something. Like make him like jagged. That would be cool. There's so many options.
I think Advance 2 still has some of the most fun 2D mechanics ever. The trick system in that game is so fun, especially when you get it right and you understand it. It adds so much to the gameplay. First off, tangent, port the advanced games, dear God. Second,
please, man.
Like that's crazy. That's crazy that they haven't done that. But like no, like I like it doesn't have to be a classic Sonic for a 2D game. It could. I think we could do like a modern Sonic 2D game. I think the important thing though for me is for 2D, like I really like having momentum. I just really like it. I think that's what really adds to it. So I hope they could use the format they have in Superstars and just work.
You know what's crazy is when I played Shadow Gens, that was like the first time really where like a modern 3D Sonic game where there were 2 levels where I was like, wow, dude, like I'd play a game with 2D levels like this where they had dynamic cameras to 3D, they had like unique puzzles and physics to them. Like I thought it was really good how they did it in Shadow Gens. Now granted, the Shadow Gens 2D levels are a bit more linear. Like they lack that sort of small bit of exploration 2D Sonic as where you can go this way, that way, this way. But I thought like in terms of like just spectacle too, they did a good job. Like you can do camera shifts in 2D to 3D, that would be really dope. But I'm with you, man. Like advanced style game for a 2D game would be so good. Or like again, if you're gonna do classic, make it stylish. Like let us do tricks. Let us do cool moves in the air.
I think what they need to do is they need to make a modern 2D game and then a classic 3D game.
Yes.
Because like they can, like you can do that. Like you can put classic Sonic in a 3D environment and make him, like have momentum and go off slopes and stuff, and you can translate a lot of those elements into it,
I'd love a classic Sonic, like that's a good idea, classic Sonic 3D, but what if they were like 64 like levels where they were like these small diagrams, like smaller scale levels, where, like you had some hills you can go around, some cool moves. I don't know, there's something to be done there.
There's something there. There's
some cool Sonic fan games and Dreams for PlayStation that use classic Sonic, like Toei Sonic. And I feel like kind of the thing I've been waiting for kind of my entire life is to be able to play the Sonic CD opening in 3D in game. Like
I'm with you. That's been my dream. That's why I love Frontiers, because it's like getting there.
It's getting there, but like I feel like we haven't gotten there completely yet, and that I've been waiting for it for like since I was a kid. Like ever since I saw that cutscene. Like don't get me wrong, like I think Sonic CD is a good game, but when you see that cutscene and then go into like the 2D game, like it's a disconnect. It's like, it's a good game, but it's not like I want to like jump off of like
the wall
like,
into a
and, like leap and, like all that kind of stuff. I feel like putting Sonic in 3D, like you can make him do that. Make him focus on his like athleticism. Him being able to like parkour over things and stuff like that. I think
but I think like overall, like I think that just goes to show like with how much we're like discussing like the possibility or potentials of classic Sonic and modern Sonic. There's so many options. I think the overall answer, the moral of the story here is like we don't want to see classic Sonic go away, because I know they were disappointed by the numbers of Superstars. I would love to see, I would like to see it return in some form. Obviously, we don't think it's actually gonna happen this year, but I would love to see it return and give it another shot. And the answer is not to throw it away, 100%.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think
It seems like what they're doing with classic Sonic is kind of like marketing him towards younger fans, while the 3D modern stuff is like towards the more like, you know, teenage fans. But I really think, and this goes for like not even just Sonic, I think a lot of people underestimate children and like how.
Yep.
Because I remember when I was a kid, like I would look at like cool anime and like cool video games, and I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Even when I was like 6 years old, I looked at the adventure games. I'm like, that's cool. Like that is awesome. And like, I would look at like Full Metal Alchemist, and I'd be like, this is so cool. I think people kind of underestimate the capabilities of like kids being able to understand like and interact with like cool things. Like you don't need to like tone down the coolness just because it's aimed at like a younger demographic.
I agree. I feel like you should make things cool, you know, so that the younger demographic sees it and grows with it, you know. Like I feel like a kid seeing Giganto for the first time will stick with them forever.
Yeah, right.
Right? Whereas like
I would have seen that as a kid. I would have been like, this is cool. This is the thing I want to play because it's got like this super cool boss, and like Super Sonic is awesome.
Yep.
And he can do all these cool attacks. Like that's what I would have picked as a kid.
Yeah.
Even if I was like 6 or 7, if I saw that, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe they're doing focus groups, and like the maybe they're using like kids to see like what they end up picking, and maybe they are picking like the less like cool stuff and more like safe.
But I mean,
I have no idea. To me, it seems like a disconnect because like. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anybody. I think everyone wants Sonic to be cool. I think when they do the cute stuff, I don't know who it's appealing to. It's like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like, I think we all know this is. What's that?
I think it's more of a general audience. I think they're trying to appeal to, and I think this is a big.
Yeah.
It's a big issue in
Japan.
The entire gaming industry, I think.
Yeah.
Where games are trying to appeal to as wide of an audience as possible. And kind of like, by doing that, they appeal less to their actual core audience, which I think does negatively affect it.
Yeah, and like, I think especially the problem in Japan is huge, right? Where right now, like, basically Sonic is effectively like, just, especially 2D's, like the movie's not doing well in Japan. Their only success really recently was Frontiers, and that's because it was marketed as something cool. Superstars complete like mega flopped in Japan. But everything is doing well in the West. I just think like if you want Sonic to succeed overall, I just think leaning on like the cool factor and modern Sonic and everything, I just think it's gonna benefit you more at the end of the day, you know? I don't think Sonic I just personally don't think Sonic works as a cutesy franchise. I think people want Sonic to be cool, and I think it succeeds better as something cool, you know? And I think kids like that they like a cool thing, you know? Like yeah, and I even think, I don't know, I think of even Nintendo, right, with Mario, 2D Mario, like, the new Super Mario Bros. Games were so stale, and then you play Mario Wonder, and you're like, okay, like, there's sauce here, there's, like, joy, there's whimsy. And I just feel like we just need that refresh for 2D Sonic.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I would love to see Classic Sonic just come back and bring the sauce this time. Bring the sauce.
Yeah, I agree, bring the sauce. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on would be, I guess, media and movies, right? Obviously, we just had movie 3, so we're not going to see anything movie-wise this year. Do you think this year we'll get a show or an announcement of some next, like a spin-off or like an animated series? We also had the end of Prime, so there's nothing going on the animated side. What do you guys think?
I think... I think we're in the market for one. Honestly, technically, like I guess we had so many shows with Prime and the Knuckle show that to them they might not even not be a priority right now. I just think it would be so cool if they would just do a 2D animated Sonic
I'm
show
with you,
again.
man. I think it's.
I think
I'm with you.
With Dark Beginnings and all these 2D animated shorts they do, like. They get millions upon millions upon millions of views every single time.
Yep.
Like, they're so in the market. We're so beyond, like, to the point where it's like, it's such an easy thing. I think that would be the next step. Now, when they would pull the trigger, if it would be this year, honestly, I don't think so. But I would not be against it, obviously, if they were to end up doing that.
Yeah, I think, so Knuckles show took like a year, I think. I mean, because movie 2 was 2022, and then Knuckles show didn't come out till last year. So I don't think if we're gonna get a show or a spin-off thing for the live action series, I think at most we'll get an announcement. Like at most we'll get an announcement of Knuckles season 2 or a Shadow spin-off. I think that's like the best we get. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. We're like the one thing we have not gotten this multimedia return for Sonic is a 2D animated series. And I think it's gonna be Netflix. I think they're gonna continue their deal with Netflix. And you know what's crazy too is like, I feel like it could work. I mean, Netflix is kind of killing it. Like they have Castlevania that's animated. They had that Tomb Raider show that came out that was recently animated. They had Scott Pilgrim, which is really cool. And I think they're gonna continue that relationship with Netflix. But I do think and I hope this time that it is a 2D animated series. And
I agree. I just don't think it's going to be 2D, even though that's what I want. I think they're going to go the cheaper route and make it 3D.
Man, even if it was like Dark Beginnings, where like technically that show is 3D, it's made in Blender, which is crazy. I think, I don't know, I feel like that's the one thing they're missing. And I feel like they don't even not need to make it. They don't need to make it this like, here's 5 seasons. I think what if they were like, all right, we're working with Izuka and the team at Sonic to deliver like a canon 8-episode series.
Yeah, like an 8-episode miniseries. That would be awesome.
That'd be so sick. And like if it was like actually like an actual canon to the game's animated series about like some event or something that happened or something that's extra. Or like what if they did even an anthology thing where like one episode was Sonic Adventure, one episode was Sonic Adventure 2, one episode was Colors. Like I don't know, I feel like there's really cool potential with a 2D series. And like I know you say like, yeah, they'll go the cheaper route, but like they've shown that they're willing to go the extra mile with like the shorts they do. And I just think like, hey, Prime did really good numbers on Netflix. I
think it's because they're shorts though.
Yeah.
I think because they're shorter, they're able to justify the higher cost of like 2D or at the least stylized 3D, because Dark Beginnings was stylized 3D. I think maybe some scenes could be hand drawn. Certain aspects might be hand drawn, but it's like I think it's like 90% 3D.
Yeah.
Dude, Sega owns TMS Entertainment, right? Like, isn't that an entity of Sega?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's so crazy. Like they literally have
they have an in-house
anime studio, and they only used them once.
Come on, man.
Who did they get to do the intro for Sonic Superstars?
That was them. That was them. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do remember when they revealed that, people were kind of comparing the quality of it and how it wasn't as good as what was it? What was the other studio that
Mania's Tyson. I don't think it was just I think it was just Tyson's team. Like I don't think it was like a studio. Oh, are you talking about the ones that do like the Monkey Ball one, the Powerhouse, or the Knuckles prologue? Powerhouse Studio.
Powerhouse Animations. Yeah.
Those guys would be
Powerhouse
awesome.
Do the Superstars like promo videos?
Yes.
With like Nash.
Yeah, and they also did the Knuckles short. For Frontiers. I think so. I did say this before. Where Powerhouse Animations has stronger keyframes. They last longer, and you'll have those very iconic shots that are very powerful. The style of not I guess not TMS, but like the recent one, they're a lot less striking. It's a lot less striking, I would say.
Yeah.
But they are still
they focus more on movement and less on like powerful keyframes and poses, which I actually like the Powerhouse route where they kind of focus on like those still frames. That's like super iconic, like 90s anime. Like, instead of like animating like 20 frames of this guy doing this thing, like let's zoom in on his face, draw it really detailed, and just like have him look super cool. Like I'm kind of a sucker for that. But
I hope, man.
TMS, like I think they did that intro.
Yeah, they did.
And I guess they have kind of like a reputation of not having the best quality, because like if you look at Sonic X, 90% of it is like bad.
It's really
but then
ugly.
they have their moments where they're like, all right, we're gonna actually put budget into like this scene, and they're like phenomenal. So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Because even the superstars like cutscenes, because they animated those, some of those look weird. Hella weird. But yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I hope they go that extra mile and give us an animated series. But yeah, but I do think we'll get some sort of show announced like this year. I think like that's a given. But yeah.
Do you think it would be worth Sega focusing on appealing to their Japanese audience, or do you think like they're just kind of a lost cause, and even if they did appeal to them, like is the number worth it? Because like compared to like the West, Japan, it's like it's a small island.
Unfortunate thing is just like Sonic they've been trying but the thing, it's like Sonic was designed for the Western audience in mind from the get-go, and they've been trying to make this thing work in Japan, and unfortunately I know with even movie 3 the numbers in Japan have been not so great, so I just think it's just unfortunate that I think it's just the reality. I think if it sells in Japan, that's awesome, but they definitely shouldn't be a priority. But I think an anime is probably the best bet they would have if they were to try to do it.
That's what I was kind of getting at. Like if they did want to appeal to their Japanese audience more and try to convert them into liking Sonic, definitely an anime would be a pretty good way to do it, I think.
Yeah. And now I did now it's funny because I did say like I don't think they would announce like a new show like this year, but it is funny actually now that I think about it. I guess I wasn't really thinking about the movie franchise. I would not be surprised if in the next month we hear, hey, we're making a spin-off Shadow the Hedgehog show. I would not be surprised if they do that. In fact, I actually expect it, because like if Knuckles got one and that's based off of Sonic movie 2, I would not be surprised if they did a Shadow spin-off series for the movies, because of how successful movie 3 was. And I think too, with our discussion in our Sonic movie 3 spoiler discussion I did, we talked about how Fidel mentioned they may have left the door open for like Black Doom because Shadow comes in on like a meteor. Yeah. I would not be surprised if there's a spin-off show that they were to announce this year, and it's based off Shadow's backstory and how he was created, and like maybe Black Doom and get something like that. I don't know. But point is, like regarding the movie franchise specifically, I think there actually is a real possibility of a show being announced this year.
Yeah, I think so too. Like we said, show is possible. Let me look over here. Yeah, I mean, franchise is better than it's ever been right now. I mean, we're looking at it's financially really well. You know, we're in a. I feel like especially after Shadow Gens, we are like, because Frontiers, people love but have their issues with. I feel like Shadow Gens was truly the first one where everyone was like, okay,
so universal.
Yeah, this is a banger, like through and through. And obviously with movie 3, that's also like, that's not just a fan thing. Like that is universally being loved. Critics and everything. It just cost $300 million at the box office. Like it's doing really well. Yeah. I would have wished it was doing a bit better. But I do think even though it's doing better than Mufasa is sadly like taking some space, because I think that movie
international box numbers,
like global.
Exactly. But they're still making a profit and they're still happy about it. So
I'm actually wondering too, which I do want to check real quick. Sonic movie 2, like that did a total of
400 million, right?
105 million worldwide, and right now we're at 285. We're
at 300 million.
Yeah. So and this is before digital release.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping digital release for this thing, like it pops off, like.
Does that factor?
Yeah.
The digital purchases.
I think so. Yeah, because it says all releases.
Right.
So I think that would factor in.
Theatrical, digital.
I think within it's like this weekend that's coming up and like what's up, I think it'll be at like by the end like 450, 450, 425, something like that, which is still really good.
Yeah. Still very good. Very good.
Would you say we're on track to surpass movie 2?
Yeah.
I think we are.
All the weekly numbers are saying it's passing it.
And did movie 2 surpass movie 1?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
this is an oddity. This is an oddity with this franchise, because usually with trilogies, it goes down. First off, usually the quality goes down, and the numbers go down. But it's very funny because I've seen reviewers talk about this, how this is a really weird oddity with Sonic specifically, where not only has the movies gotten better, the budget's been getting higher and they've been selling more.
Yeah,
it's very weird. It's very bad.
It is really
it's
weird.
Good. It is good. I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't be surprised if movie 4 was like the plateau, like it didn't really, you know, but we'll see. We'll see. Please prove me wrong. We'll fucking
as
see.
long
it's
as
gonna be really hard to top this movie. I mean,
I agree.
have
Shadow alone.
Jim Carrey's last performance, but he's also saying that he's like down to
do more.
Movie. Who knows though? Like if it is, then like
that's crazy. By the way, that happened right after our discussion. By the way,
yeah.
God damn it.
Crazy. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna. I think these movies, these movies. I really think, and I've said this, like I think this movie especially is like growing the franchise. Like I think like there's a lot more eyes now on the series, which means I think Sega is gonna have to give Sonic Team more money, and Sonic Team is gonna have to lock in more because there's we're in a different ball game now. We've got like casual, like big box office numbers, and a lot more people are gonna play these games. You know,
I'm just still trying to fathom. Like I remember when the first movie came out, how big of an explosion that had. In the fan base. And even like movie 2, you can kind of sense it and feel it. And like movie 3, I mean, they just keep getting bigger and bigger. And also like it feeds into the games. The games have been getting better and like having higher budgets and trying more things and being more confident, probably because of the overall success of the franchise. So like I can only imagine what Sonic Team is going to try to do based off of the success of like all the movies, like in the next 2 years. It's gonna be
it's gonna be huge.
And I decided to check the domestic daily, by the way, to compare both movies. So these are the numbers, comparing them to each day. This is just domestic numbers, obviously. And like movie 3's daily numbers, because we're on day 15 technically now. So for movie 2 on day 15. It did, we're talking the day before on day 14, it only made like 1.9 million.
Okay.
And then day 15, they only made 4 million. On movie 3, yesterday, day 14, they made 5 million.
Wow.
And today they made, or not today, but on day 15, they made 6.9 million.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like the long term, it is a lot stronger.
Very good word of mouth, I think. I think word of mouth for this movie is a big spreader, you know, and people like coming back from vacations going to watch it. People just want to go on. This is the most in a long time since I would say Spider-Verse, where I've seen people like double, triple dip, you know, be like, I'm gonna go watch again and again and again. Obviously, like we are in the circle for that, but it is a movie that I think you can watch on multiple times with people. Yeah.
I'm gonna go see it again right now.
Let's go, man. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it up, man. I think we have a good 2025 ahead of us. But I also, on a potential maybe note, I do think it would be okay if this year was like Team Sonic Racing and like one other small thing. Like there's a chance.
Year. Yeah.
You know, there's a chance where this year they're working, they're in the lab doing their thing, and then. But I think we're in it now. I think we're just the 2020s are gonna be boom, 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 something. We'll always be there. All right. Yeah. Well, guys, thank you all for watching. Of course, you know the drill. There's Mr. Sam Procrastinates, Mr. Chow Mix. Both of them go to with the sauce. And of course, you can catch them on their channels. And guys, I love you. Thank you all for watching. Of course, I'll see you all next time. Peace out.